Welcome to Metal Planet, a place where we talk about the new heavy metal and hard rock releases of the week, and a place that can help you discover new albums and new bands. If that sounds good, here's what's coming out on November 28th, 2025. Equilibrium is a band with an unusual sound. It mixes folk metal and metalcore together, two metal subgenres on the opposite sides of the metal spectrum, and two subgenres that I haven't really seen mixed together before. There lies the potential of Equinox, the first Equilibrium album in 6 years, to present an aesthetic that has not been explored by many bands before. In the songs I have heard from this upcoming album, it's the folk-inspired melodies that draw my attention the most. They are played with various instruments, so they add a lot of colors to the sonic palette. The beefy metalcore guitars also have a presence. They offer a balance to the brighter sound of the melodic parts. For its hybrid nature, Equinox looks to be an interesting one. Dancing with the Devil is intended to be the final album by the old-school band Lynch. This classic heavy metal and hard rock formation was founded in the late 80s by the legendary guitarist George Lynch after the dissolution of his former band Dokken. Dancing with the Devil was recorded by the same lineup who recorded Lynch's previous opus Babylon. The new record will feature well-crafted guitar parts and soulful vocals. It will revisit the classic sound of the band heard in its debut album Wicked Sensation in a coming full circle kind of way, but it will have a more modern edge because of its production. It's basically a celebration of the band's legacy. This one will be released in the US by Rat Pack Records, while in Europe it will be a Frontiers Records title. You won't often see tribute albums on this channel. There are so many titles each week that records with original material have to be prioritized. But sometimes exceptions can be made for stuff that is out of the ordinary. I recently discovered that a 9 Inch Nails tribute album will be released this week, the Downward Spiral Redux, featuring reimagined covers of the songs appearing in the 9 Inch Nails opus The Downward Spiral, one of the defining records of the 90s if you ask me. What's special about the tribute album is that many metal and rock bands with really different sounds and approaches participated in the project. Bands like Between the Buried and Me, Author and Punisher and Black Tusk, bringing with them different flavors to the original raw, dark and emotional songs. Many of the bands gave the covers a heavier edge compared to the originals, so there is an appeal for metalheads there. The cover I'm looking forward to the most is the one by Between the Buried and Me for the song Hurt. I'm wondering if the ensemble took more inspiration from the 9 Inch Nails or the Johnny Cash version, or a combination of both. Ethereal Horizons by Blut will be an album with an otherworldly soundscape. When you listen to it, it will give you the impression of traveling through space or visiting an alien planet. This celestial or cosmic sound can be found in the tracks Shadows Breed First and The Ordeal, for example, where the blast beats, dissonant riffs, and the reverb effect intertwine to create a memorable atmosphere. The music is beautiful, haunting, and should leave an impression on you if you're into atmospheric black metal. Ethereal Horizons will contain 7 epic tracks that often last more than 7 minutes. The celestial and otherworldly aspects of this album kind of make it black metal's answer to Blood Incantation's death metal record Absolute Elsewhere. This week we are going to get 2 live albums and 1 extended play, all of them recorded in important European capitals. Dream Theater will release Quarantième live à Paris, the band's first live album since the return of Mike Portnoy behind the drum kit. The album was recorded at the Adidas Forum in the City of Lights and acts as a celebration of Dream Theater's 40th anniversary. 1349, the legendary Norwegian black metal band will drop Winter Mass via Season of Mist. The performance was recorded shortly after the COVID pandemic lockdown at the Park Theatre venue in Oslo. With this album you will experience in a live setting the darkness and coldness of the classic Norwegian black metal sound. The third album in this round, the 4-track EP London Sessions by the French gothic and progressive metal band The Old Tree, was recorded at the famous Abbey Road Studios in London. This one will contain material with a hypnotic vibe and vocals. We have now arrived at my recommendations of the week. I'm gonna have 3 for you today. The third album I recommend the most this week is United We Fall, the 8th studio album by the Polish band Die Disease from the city of Krakow. This release will mark an important stylistic shift for the formation. In many of its previous albums, there were industrial metal flavors and electronic textures, but this one will present a more conventional death metal sound with some groove metal riffs here and there. This move may prove divisive among the band's fan base, but the group's new material is pretty strong. That's why I recommend this album. I like the sharp riffs, the precise drumming, and the vocal style works well with the songs. I wouldn't be surprised if the band manages to win a lot more new fans with this album than it loses. With the quality of the band's songs, it's actually surprising that Die Disease isn't much bigger than it is. The second album I recommend the most today is by Excide. This is a band that created a buzz 3 years ago with the release of its first record, Deliberate Revolver. It received praise from many heavy music fans and critics alike. The quality of the music attracted the attention of SharpTone Records, who then quickly signed the band to the label. Fast forward to today, Excide is about to drop Bastard Hymns, its first album for the label, and the record I currently recommend. The band plays music with post-hardcore and hardcore rhythms, along with alternative rock choruses. Sometimes there are some subtle grunge undertones in the band's songs as well. If you were a kid like me in the 90s and 2000s, you will find in Bastard Hymns a vibe that undeniably evokes that era of music, and that will give you some good nostalgia. That's why I recommend it. The title that I recommend the most this week is Struck a Nerve, the debut album by the British band of the same name. One of the formation's two guitarists, Nathan Sad, said that with this record, the band is aiming to be the most aggressive and intense thrash band the UK has ever produced. Intense is certainly a word that perfectly describes the music of the band. That's what caught my attention. The band has so far released 5 music videos to promote this album, and each track feels more adrenaline charged than the next. The record will feature a theme centered around the concept of violence and the human penchant for barbarism. In the Struck a Nerve material, I can hear the influence of old-school thrash metal bands like Slayer and Sodom, but also the influence of newer bands like Power Trip and Municipal Waste, so it's a good mix of the old and the new. If 10 records is not enough to satisfy your heavy music needs this week, I've got 4 additional albums for you before we wrap up this video. Terra by Black Magic Tree would be a cool dynamic amalgamation of hard rock, psychedelic rock, stoner rock and blues rock, which aims for a more vintage sound compared to the previous releases covered today. For 2 Bleak by Pyre, only one song has been made available in advance before the album's release, Tenebrosity's Path, but if I can extrapolate what the record will be, it will probably put an emphasis on slow repetitive riffs with the purpose of establishing a bleak atmosphere. The Conquering Darkness and Nefarious Scintillations will be 2 death metal albums released respectively by Malefic Throne and Dead and Dripping. The first one will feature Steve Tucker of Morbid Angel on bass and vocals. The last record for today will feature the playing of only one musician, Evan Daniel, an ambitious multi-instrumentalist who recorded all the instruments and created the album cover for this release. The music will have a hallucinogenic quality, and the bass sound is going to be more audible than the average metal album. So those are the releases for this week. It's not a bad release week at all. There's some interesting stuff to be found here for sure. If you like that kind of content, where I present the releases that are released during the week, hit that like button and subscribe for more heavy music related content. If you do like this one drops every 7 days on this channel, so that might interest you. Tell me in the comments what is your most anticipated record of the week. I thank you for watching. Max Gray out. Cheers!